Welcome back to another episode, guys. Today we are again building a lure. We're going to try a build and catch. So it's Friday. I'm going fishing Monday and Sunday, but for a different species, but Monday for cod. I'm hoping to have this lure done. So obviously I have tomorrow, Saturday. I don't have Sunday. So that's not an issue with building a lure. It's more about the clear coat and paint drying in time. My wife got me a Rick and Morty sketchbook to draw some lures in, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to make a Rick and Morty lure. So I've sat down, I scoured the episode backwards and forwards, pausing it in different spots, and there are a lot of inconsistencies in the shape of Pickle Rick. I discovered sometimes he bends left, sometimes he's got to bend right, but most of the time he bends forward, so he's essentially hunched over, and on the sides he's straight. So I'm going to go with him face down for diving lure, which will give him a curve like this, and then his front or bottom profile will look like that, so the fish will look up and Pickle Rick will be looking back down at him. We're going to go with a diving bib toe, quite a big bib, probably even bigger than that. It's quite a substantial size lure. I haven't measured it yet. 120 mil lure. By the time we shape it and stuff, probably be about bang on 120. Yeah, I'm going to colour it as Pickle Rick is in the episode. My drawing's a bit rough there. Hopefully the finished product is a bit neater. Belly treble, rear treble, and we'll try and keep his little nose on there. So let's cut this out. I've got an offcut of willow over there. I've quite liked working with willow lately. I've been working on the willow walkers all over there. Still haven't finished them. We've been all over the place, guys, so you'll have to forgive us, sorry. But we're getting back into it. Hopefully we'll get back on top of it and we'll be right. We'll be good to go. So let's kick that off with Pickle Rick and let's get a cod on him later in this video. But I'll grab the willow, start cutting, cut this out, glue it on. Let's get into it. You guys might be thinking, hey, how come after you cut the first one you didn't take it to the sander and shape it, and then obviously after this one? My theory is, he's a pickle. He's not really meant to be like fully shaped smooth. That's the shape he is. He's unshapely. So I will get these bits out with a bit of sandpaper. After I've done the chamfers, I will obviously be sanding. So I'll sand the roughness out, but I want to sort of keep that raw shape. So that's obviously the underside, but I did it on top for cutting it out. And obviously his nose and his eyes. So we'll, yeah. What I think I will do is, if this goes well, which I don't say, even if it doesn't go well, I'm going to do Pickle Rick in rat form as a surface lure. Just have the arms and legs out the sides. I think that's something I'd like to make as well. So, alright, so we're going to do chamfer lines, guys. Quite hefty chamfer lines because he's basically round. So we want to make him round. So I guess we want to come in sort of 10 mil. So the 10 mil, what is that in inches? 13 mil is about ½ inch, so just under ½ inch. This is going to make it a whole lot lighter, which is good. Because, like I said, there's quite a lot of body on this. He's out. Let's see what we can do. Sweet. So willow's actually not bad to carve. It will be a bit temperamental with these not these knots. Well, with knots, but with these bug larva things, because it's going to want to snap where the bugs have eaten it. This is going to look good here, I reckon. It's going to be a little bit awkward to make, but I'm going to vacuum it in poly, so I'll actually strengthen it all up. It'll fill all these cavities with the sawdust. They'll actually get filled with poly, and they'll strengthen up and be pretty good actually. Might even put some baking soda and super glue down some of these big crevices here, like that. Not a bad idea actually. I think I'll definitely do that. So far I'm actually stoked with that. His nose broke, so I don't know how I'm going to go about fixing that. I was trying to cut out and leave a bit either side, but there was a bit of bug grub eat out underneath that. He's really not symmetrical, but that's the idea. So I'm going to bang him in the vise and sand him smooth for the carving sake, for where I've carved. But we're going to try and keep all this rough grub work and stuff, because that just adds to it. We will fill this. Actually, we'll fill this now. So I'm going to cut this before we sand it. Yeah, like that. Carve it open a bit. Like that. If you're doing this, try not to cut towards yourselves. I've been doing it a lot. I've been carving a lot of stuff, and I'm getting pretty good at it. But every now and then, even I have moments where I'm like, oh gee, that was too close for comfort. I've got my thumb a couple of times over the years. So just don't do it if you can avoid it. Don't copy me, is what I'm trying to say. Do not do as I do. As my old man say, don't do as I do, do as I say. The bond in there. Oh. And then sprinkle that right down in it. Oh, sorry, I can't really have bad habit. I've poured some in. I've drizzled some in. Now I'm going to sprinkle a bit in. The reason I'm doing it this way is if you fill it all the way up, the super glue won't penetrate it properly. So it'll soak into the top and then not penetrate all the way down. And then what you're doing is you're just sealing dry baking soda underneath. That's not helping anybody. Just some of this mud, which is sawdust. Before I go and sand the shape smooth, I have filled the major crevices, and any of the sawdust I've soaked in super glue to strengthen it all up. I'm going to use the Dremel, and I'm going to shape the eyes. I've sort of drawn them on there. I don't know if you can see them, but anyway, we're going to we're going to try and shape them out with the Dremel before we go and start sanding the rest of the lure. pretty happy so far with the face and the whole lot, really. I think the mouth, once I've shaped it, I might think about carving it, but I'm probably just going to paint it on. So what I'm going to do now is just give it a quick sand. What I did with the Dremel then was just run over it and just really sort of rough up the surface, and I reckon it's come up really good. You could almost paint it as is, but I just want to tidy it up a little bit more. So give it a sand, then I'll go back with the baking soda and super glue and fill any major crevices. We'll look at cutting out a bib and stuff, but that'll probably be tomorrow. I might just sand it and then put it into poly for tonight, and that'll be it. I've got it to this. I'm actually super stoked with it right now. I'm gonna sink it in the vacuum chamber with some poly, vacuum the crap out of it and fill all the air pockets in this thing up. Tomorrow it should be dry. Merged in poly in the vacuum. Turn it on, haven't used it in a while. Seal her up. The vacuum comes up. I've explained this before, but I'll explain it again. I've got a bit of wire holding the lure under the surface of the poly. The vacuum pulls out the easiest thing first, which is air. So the air's sucked out of the lure. So you've got an air pocket in the lure and it gets drawn out. Now you cannot have nothing in a space. That's not possible. So as the air gets drawn out, the polyurethane gets drawn into that pocket. It saturates the lure. It makes it less buoyant, but Willow's really buoyant, so it doesn't matter. Makes it less buoyant, it makes it solider and heavier and stronger. So what it does, fully waterproofs it, strengthens the whole thing up, and we don't have any issues. So this is where I'm going to leave you tonight, guys. I'm going to vacuum that. You can see the bubbles coming to the surface. That means the poly's penetrating the lure. I'm going to hang her up to dry overnight, and then we'll be back tomorrow to finish it off. Right, we're back next day and she's dry. Dry and solid. Sounding good. So what I'm going to focus on first is the grub marks that are through the eyes and stuff. I'm just going to fill them with baking soda and super glue. Reshape the eyes right. Tidy up the nose a little bit. I'm going to give it another quick sand after that. And then I think we're at painting. I was originally going to do some lumps on it. So where these circles are and where this one is here, I was going to actually try and make some resin lumps or something, and come up with oh, hello you. Hello you. Hey, you happy to be in here? Yep. You happy to be in here, are you? You happy? It's Lexi. All the crevices and things naturally in it, I think that it's just going to look good painted as it is pretty much. I don't think I need to add any more to it. When I had the Dremel, I gave it a bit of a rough. Are you right? Okay, you slap it on me. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Go on, go for a run. I gave it a rough shape, like I sort of used the sanding thing to sort of put some lumps and stuff in it, and I think it's going to be pickle enough as it is. I'm actually stoked with it so far, so we'll fix this area up, mark our hook points. I'll make a bib, and then we're gonna have a look at weight, whether we need to weight it or not. bloody, I'm really happy with that. Once it's all painted up, I think it'll look good. Sort of shaped in. They're rounded, distinctive, the nose, the rest of the body. All pretty happy with all of that. I've drawn this up, and toe point on this works pretty good, and it's just before the bend, so around about the bend. So I've gone there with that. It's a fair bit bigger, but then again, that's a chunky lure. So it's a corn cob. You might have seen on the channel before. I re-cored that recently with balsa to make it float. Anyway, I cut this out, put the slot in it, and then we'll drill some holes in Pickle Rick and hook him up, and we're going to go swim test him. Go! You don't want to go, you want to play. You want to play with this one? You play by yourself? I've got stuff to do. Oi, just calm down please. Going about there. I reckon, oh, you just slobbered all over me. She's full of slobber. Make sure that's right again. It's a bit hard because it's such an odd shaped lure. There. Right. So marked that hole, that'll be that tow wire. And that'll go in like that. Be glued right up through the center. So then the front hook hanger I'm going to do on that angle as well. Right about here somewhere. I reckon that's pretty bang on. And that same backwards angle. And then at the back, right about there, on the tail, we'll have a hook hanger going forward. And all three of those dots should line up with that toe point. So pretty much, probably just needs to go a little bit that way. Not much. I reckon that's pretty good. So we'll do rear hanger. Front hanger. About that. Literally aim it in and then aim back on the, try and get the same angle as that bib slot, and that should allow me to get that whole way in, which is going to be needed for the toe point. It's going to take all the force of a fish. Oh, not bad. Almost said it. Oh, come on. Don't unwind, you freak. Bloody, not bad at all. Let's trim a little bit off it. It's hit the back. It won't twist all the way around because it's hit the back of the hole. It's trying to undo the twist when it hit where it's hitting. But hopefully it's enough for a swim test. And then what I'll do is I'll, after I've given it a swim test, I will shorten it, and before I glue it in probably. Nice tight twisting, so it's going to be a nice bond with the epoxy. It's not bloody going to go anywhere. That's pretty freaking right. Gonna get a fishing rod. We'll put some hooks on, and we'll give her a test. Alright guys, I've got hooks and rings on it. I've gone with Decoy 6 Plus. I think they're rated to 120 pounds. Yep, 120 pound. Owner ST6610 on the front and a 2.0 on the back. I was going to go with two 2.0s, but it's a bit bulky on there. So we'll see how it swims, and then maybe we will. It floats alright. Yep. Straight off the bat. Nice. That works great. It's heavy. And you're ready to go paint. So, got the epoxy. I've wiped down the lure. I gave it a hit with a heat gun. I've hit the end of the bib with some sawdust, with some sandpaper, just to help the epoxy hold the bib in. But obviously the weight's transferred through this. I really don't like bib toes without a wire. You'll see a lot of cod lures just have a little arc. They'll just have a little arc, and then they're relying on the whole bib. Relying on the whole bib. Can you go? Go on, off you go. Go on. Go play somewhere else. Hey, they're relying on the whole bib for the toe. I really like the whole. Get off me. Come, go. I really like the wire idea. So we're gonna mix up some epoxy. We're gonna put the bib and the toe point and hook hangers in. And I normally paint before I put the bib in, but I'm gonna mask. Lex, go on, off you go. It just leaves this on me. Go on, off you go. Come on. It's like having another more disobedient child, if you can believe that. Yeah, so we're gonna mix them up, get them glued. I'm gonna mask the bib for the paint job, which is not my normal style. And mix this up. Alright, so give this a good coating. Probably coated that too far up, so remember that doesn't all go in. You want to try and get a bit of something and just try and push that down in there. Get the glue right in. Yeah, I just thought when I put it together before, it does screw in, which just makes it so much stronger. You can just have them loose so they glue in, but you really, if you can get them to screw in, just so much better. It's a bit right there, isn't it? Go more. Oh. One. Yep, that's the one. And, right in there. Now I've got epoxy all over me. I really don't want to get epoxy all over the bib. Twist our wire. That's about right. You really want to take your time with your bib and your toe point, because if they're not right, then your swim will not be right. Like, this is where getting your lure to swim comes in. So if you're not good here, then you're not good. I finished gluing. I've put him on the rotisserie so that none of the glue sits any particular way. Kind of stays even around the lure. So we'll come back after he's dry, and then we'll paint him up. Right, I've got the bib masked up. I've pulled up an image of Pickle Rick so that we can paint him accordingly. So I'm gonna try and find some colours that match this, and yeah, let's get into it. That matches the belly almost straight off the shelf, the pearl lime. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's almost bang on. So that's the belly colour. So we're probably going to go with that as almost as an undercoat. We'll paint the whole thing white. Paint the whole thing white, which we're almost out of. Then we'll go pearlised for the underneath. And then for the over top colour, that's a bit dark. You probably want to go opaque green with a bit of pearlised white, which will give it a bit of a pearl look and dull it down a bit. So I reckon that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to hand paint the eyes and the stuff around the mouth here. That's definitely how we're going to go it. Alright, I've mixed up this colour and I'm actually pretty happy with it for Pickle Rick. It's not 100%, but it's pretty bloody close. And it took a lot of messing around, putting yellow and different colours in the greens that I had to try and I forgot all about that. It took a lot of messing around on yellow and white and black and a blue into the greens that I had to try and get it close enough to Pickle Rick's colour. Not all greens are greens, and not all greens are on the same spectrum, so you can't just add black or white to a green and pull it lighter or darker. Sometimes it needs other colours added, and sometimes if you add black to darken it, you're on the right track, but then adding black changes the tint, so you need to add something else. So that's the issue I just had, but I think now I'm pretty happy with the green I've got. So I'm just gonna give our Pickle Rick a coat of this, and I'm gonna get it all over my hands because I need to hold this front stencil down to keep the yellow bit, or the light green bit, the way it should be. man, these knots and things just working perfect to make it look like a pickle. This is so good. That's not bad. That is not bad. Pickle Rick! Look at that. That looks pretty good. Because I had to add so many different colours of the green, I've made half a cup of pickle green colour. So I'm going to bang some Glad wrap over the top of the cup, and they've got little clip-on lids, and clip a lid on, and hopefully be able to save that. It's actually a pretty good natural green colour, so be good for diving lures with cod anyway, so I'll try and use it. A way finer brush than I need, because I use the same brush to do the mouth and stuff, the lines and that, so just makes sense. So I've just got the opaque white, tipped a bit into the cap. I'm not much of an artist when it comes to hand painting, so don't expect the world here, guys. This is just going to be rough as. Alright, set that there for a minute. There. Under the eye like that, and then his mouth. So just for the spots, I'm going to go with this opaque. Few drops of that with a couple of drops of black, because it's definitely a darker green. Maybe one drop of black. This more classic green, just to pull it back that way. And I reckon that's about what we want. Just a nice dark green. Pickle Rick has these little, because it's a cartoon and he doesn't have physical lumps like my bit of wood, he has these lumps painted on him, like that. So some of the divots on him, I'm just going to paint that darker colour, just to try and match that a bit. Why not? So I forgot to turn the camera on while I painted all these spots, but they look pretty good. Obviously grey is not a colour that you get, but black and white makes a nice grey. So I've just mixed that up. I'll try and paint inside that without wrecking his eyebrow outlines. Not terrible. Not terrible if I'm being honest. That's going to do. That's going to do the face. That's it for painting. Just to let that dry, and then hit the clear coat. Bloody pretty happy with that. Nice. Alright, so the only thing I'm going to do before I clear coat it is get the brush in that green and touch up the lip edge there onto the bib, and then we're going to leave it for probably half an hour or so just to make sure the paint's fully dry, and we're going to hit it with some 2K clear coat. And it is Saturday evening, so Monday, good to go. Very, very excited. That should swim good. Alright guys, we're back. It's dry. 2K Master Clear Coat. It's 2 to 1. I find with this stuff, I don't really measure it. I just, one part's the clear, the other part's the hardener. And generally, if you get it somewhere right, it's good. So I'll just go like that, and that'll be fine. That'll work. I'll hold it by the bib, give him a brush, and I'm going to start right at the top. I don't want anything to run on the bib. That way. Alright. Flip around to the other side. You want it clear to just touch the bib past where the paint is, so that all the paint's completely covered, and then you know everything's cleared. Now I'm going to paint down the pickle. Get plenty in around the eyes and stuff. Just giving it a really good smother with the clear. Just remember, it's all running that way, and I'm brushing it that way, so I'm running the bulk of it off. I'm not too stressed about having too much on. We just want to make sure we have a nice coat over the whole thing. Go, Pickle Rick. That's ready, so down that way. Just keep trying to even up the weight so that it spins without stopping on one side or dropping real quick. And I try not to give it too much heat when it's up that way. Oops, see how she's dropping quick there, which means Pickle Rick's a bit heavy. So we'll get a clear coat again tomorrow before I head on out on Monday. So I think it's actually going to be real good, hopefully. Can't see any micro bubbles or anything. And you just want to go real quick with your flame, because you don't want to burn it or make it boil. The clear coat will boil and bubble up, and it just ruins the whole thing after all the effort you've put in. So that's it. It's just going to stay on here. I'll do exactly the same thing again tomorrow, and then we'll be out on Monday. So I'll see you on the water, and hopefully we can get a fish. Oh, and the pickle swims. Swims quite good too. Look at me line wobble.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that swims good.
Pickle Rick. Nice, baby. You might need to do something that dives a little bit deeper. Man, I'm so stoked with the action of this thing. Go up to the rocks on your left and just walk over the fence. Oh yeah, nice. That's where you want to be.